Right, let's dive into this explainer. Picture this. You're hurtling down a highway at 70 miles an hour in a 2-ton metal box. The white lines are just a blur, the wind is roaring outside. Now imagine taking your hands off the wheel, leaning back, and feeling perfectly safe. Sounds like pure science fiction, doesn't it? But it's rapidly becoming our everyday reality. Today, we're unpacking a really dangerous paradox. We're looking at partial vehicle automation, the very real limits of the human mind, and why a system designed to make our lives easier can actually trap us in a deadly cognitive bottleneck.
It really forces us to stop and ask a fundamental question. When we're in these cars, are we actually driving or are we just watching? As vehicles take over the steering, the accelerating, and the braking, we find ourselves stuck in this bizarre gray area. Think about it. A system explicitly built to help us pay less physical attention to the road somehow demands our absolute, unwavering mental vigilance. It's a complete paradox, and honestly, our brains, which have been honed by millions of years of evolution, just aren't naturally wired to handle it.
To anchor us here, our source, Papa, frames the philosophy perfectly, a mindset passed down from his father, Papa Q-Bear, and shared with his wife Cole Debs. The core idea is that no matter how far technology races past the days of the Model T, the human must remain the ultimate processor. Think about airline pilots in a severe crosswind. Even with a brilliant autopilot engaged, they treat the system as a helpful assistant, never a replacement. The technology is just a supporting player. At the end of the day, the captain of the ship stays the captain.
And that beautifully illustrates the engineering reality of SAE Level 2 automation. You've probably seen the flashy marketing terms like full self-driving, but legally and practically, it is strictly partial automation. Yes, the vehicle assists with the physical mechanics. It keeps you centered in the lane and matches the speed of traffic. But it relies entirely on your human mind to manage sudden system failures, unexpected construction, or unpredictable pedestrians. The software might be turning the wheel, but your brain is the only thing actually driving the car.
To truly grasp the tension here, we need to establish a baseline for human distraction. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration defines distracted driving as literally anything that pulls your eyes, your hands, or your mind away from the road. We always talk about texting, right? But it's just as much about eating a messy burger, fighting with your touchscreen to change a podcast, or getting completely absorbed in a debate with your passenger.
The math behind this distraction is absolutely terrifying. Looking down at a text message for just 5 seconds while going 55 miles per hour is literally the exact equivalent of driving blindfolded across an entire football field. Just picture that in your head, 100 yards of heavy metal flying at highway speeds, completely unguided by human vision. It's a mental model that should frankly terrify anyone sharing the road.
And the tragic result of that physical distraction isn't just a hypothetical. It's a stark, heartbreaking reality, summed up by this number from the NHTSA. 3,208. That is how many traffic deaths were explicitly linked to distracted drivers in the U.S. in 2024 alone. But look, that's not just a statistic on a screen. That is the devastating human cost of a fractured attention span. Thousands of moments where a split-second shift in focus changed families forever.
But here is where the science gets truly unsettling. When we move past physical distractions, like holding a phone, we hit what psychologists call inattentional blindness. This is an incredibly dangerous glitch in our mental wiring, where your eyes take in the scene perfectly fine, the optic nerve fires, but your absorbed, distracted mind completely fails to register what you're seeing. You can look right at a deadly hazard and literally fail to see it.
You might actually know this classic psychology study from 1999 that proves this point. Researchers asked people to focus intensely on counting basketball passes in a video. Because their cognitive load was totally maxed out, a massive percentage of viewers completely failed to see a person in a giant furry gorilla suit walk straight across the court, beat its chest, and walk off. It sounds ridiculous, I know. But when our minds are occupied, the obvious becomes literally invisible.
Now apply that invisible gorilla to your morning commute. A massive study using advanced eye trackers revealed a super frightening shift in human behavior. The moment a partial automation system takes over, drivers spend significantly more time looking away from the forward roadway compared to driving manually. As soon as the car confidently nudges the steering wheel, our eyes just naturally begin to wander off into the horizon. And incredibly, researchers found that when this happens, we don't just zone out. We actively process completely irrelevant inanimate objects. Drivers start reading roadside billboards, checking out storefronts, scanning the scenery.
And because their attention shifts to the periphery, they become dangerously blind to animate threats. A child near a crosswalk, a swerving cyclist, a braking car. The brain actively prioritizes a static billboard over a life-threatening hazard.
Why on earth does this happen? Well, it's called automation complacency. When you have long stretches of successful, boring, routine driving, you build deep trust in the machine. But that trust quickly sours into overtrust and dependence. It transforms you from an active operator into a passive monitor. And decades of research tell us one undeniable truth. Humans make absolutely terrible passive monitors. We are literally not built to safely watch paint dry.
Which brings us to the core issue, the cognitive bottleneck. Imagine a rising tide of visual complexity. You're checked out, reading a billboard while the car steers. Suddenly, the automation hits a messy construction zone and abruptly shuts off. Your brain hits a massive bottleneck. A disengaged mind simply cannot process that sudden, overwhelming flood of visual data fast enough to take back control. The mental switch from passive observer to active lifesaver just takes too long.
When the National Transportation Safety Board investigated high-profile crashes involving Level 2 systems, they found exactly this bottleneck. It wasn't just a machine error. They realized that when the car sensors inevitably fail to detect a hazard, it triggers a catastrophic cascade of human mind-wandering. The system drops the ball at the exact moment the driver is least prepared to catch it. It's a perfect storm of inattention.
To fight this attention trap, the NTSB strongly recommends using technology to solve the problem that technology created. They want advanced telematic monitoring systems that can actually tell the difference between you checking your side mirror and you staring at a phone in your lap. Look, advanced technology can absolutely help overcome this dangerous monitoring gap, but it can never, ever replace the simple, critical act of paying attention.
So bringing it all back to Papa's wisdom to synthesize what we've covered. The tech is just a supporting player. Sensors are getting incredibly fast, sure, but absolutely nothing matches the human mind's unique power to take in a complex scene, weigh moral judgments, and react in a split second. Treat your car's automation exactly like a pilot treats an autopilot. You never hand over that final call. You are the ultimate safeguard.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to carry with you. As cars get smarter and confidently offer to take the heavy lifting off your hands, will you actively navigate the complexities of the road? Or will you let the cozy illusion of self-driving lull you into a deadly attention trap? The choice and the immense responsibility is entirely yours. Keep your eyes on the road, and thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.